Hey everybody, this is Josh Ronquist here for Heavy Debriefings, and I can't believe it. We're already talking about the top 10 albums of 2016. I can't believe this was 7 years ago already. Some of these albums feel like they just came out a couple years to me. But hey, that's what happens in life, doesn't it? Let's get right into it with number 10. Coming in at number 10 is HAKEN with Affinity. While this may not be the proggiest or most left of center or heaviest album HAKEN has put out, it is probably their catchiest album. And that's not to say that it isn't filled with some great progressive metal goodness. Hell, there's a 15-minute track that features so many great movements behind it and is one of the longest songs HAKEN has done. Not the longest, but it's up there. Yes, this album is so catchy. And it has so many great heavy moments, poppy moments, some great proggy moments. It's like a great sampler of what HAKEN is all about. And some songs are still in the setlist to this day. If there was any album that I think that any prog fan, metal fan, even pop fan would appreciate from HAKEN, this is probably the top spot that I would choose. Go out and listen to Affinity. I think you might enjoy it. Coming in at number 9 is Oceans of Slumber with Winter. This is a fantastic sophomore album from the Texas band that really combines some great ideas, from progressive metal to melodic death metal to doom metal to gothic metal to so many different ideas that you just wouldn't expect to fit together, but when you listen to it, it works seamlessly. While the band has taken many changes since this album, this still is a high watermark of what extreme progressive metal can all be about. While instead of just focusing on the fastest blast beats and double bass possible, even though Dauber is more than capable of that, all you have to do is just listen to his former band Insect Warfare to see what that's all about, this is more of a mood band. It's not about being the heaviest band, it's not about being the fastest band. It can be slow and doomy, it can be fast and speedy, it can be everything in between. And while nowadays they have more of that southern gothic feel behind it, and they've pretty much left all of their extreme moments behind, which honestly I think was the right idea to go for, with their latest album Starlight and Ash, I think Winter is still a magnificent album that is worth going back to, if you just want to see at least where the second start of their roots came from. Coming in at number 8 is probably sadly the only appearance of this band, and I want them to be on here so much more, but that's the breaks. It's BORKNAGAR with Winter Thrice. And for everyone who thinks that Viking metal begins and ends with Amon Amarth, shame on you. You are missing out on so many great bands. And BORKNAGAR is one of them. Much closer to what Enslaved does, but much catchier. BORKNAGAR, especially in the latter half of the band's discography so far, has really ventured more into the progressive and experimental sides, much like ICS Vortex with his band Arcturus or even his solo album, has incorporated so much of those great quirky moments into BORKNAGAR, but it makes it work so very well in between the extreme chaos of their progressive black metal and folk metal roots. This band does it all in great stride. They know how to be proggy, they know how to be catchy, they know when to get dark and evil when needed. And it has that great cold sound that you would want in this style. And to me, I think this is the best album that they've put out so far, and I can't wait till they put out another album. And if you want to see what BORKNAGAR is all about, I highly implore you to check out Winter Thrice. Coming in at number 7 is Long Distance Calling with Trips. And this is arguably my favorite album from the band, although that could still be said for 2009's Avoid the Light. It's really a toss-up between those two, even though those two albums are so very different. For Long Distance Calling, Trips is a very different album, arguably the most different album the band has ever made, as they are so known for doing instrumental songs and instrumental albums, or albums that only features one song with vocals, and sometimes that goes to John Bush of Armored Saints or Jonas Rensky of Catatonia. This time around, the album has half of the album featuring vocals, and some of those songs are my favorite songs not only from Long Distance Calling, but of that progressive post-metal sound that they helped innovate and really make their own. Well, after this album they had become predominantly, and by predominant I mean 100% instrumental band, unless they use some vocal tracks from other things. I'm surprised the band even made an album like this because it is so different from what they're used to. I am glad that they did it though, because This is some of their best playing, it's some of their best songwriting. Nothing is overdrawn, nothing is out of their element. Everything just feels perfect on this album. I wouldn't necessarily say this is the first album that you should start with because it is so vastly different from everything else that they do, whether it be instrumental or sound clips or anything else that they use. But if you get into Long Distance Calling, you should eventually check out this album, as I do feel it has some of the finest moments of the band's career. Coming in at number 6 is KHEMMIS, with my favorite album from the band, Hunted. I love everything about this album, I love everything about this band, but I really feel like this is peak KHEMMIS for me. The songs are so catchy, so devastating in the lyrics. I love everything about it. The title track is one of my favorite songs in all of doom metal. Yeah, it just takes everything that I love about KHEMMIS and just puts it in top peak performance. And that's not a slight against their other albums. All of them need to be checked out, but this one in particular just rules. And if you don't believe me, all you need to do is just check it out for yourself. Even if you don't like doom metal per se, you need to check this album out. It just might change your mind. Number 5 is Canada's CAULDRON with In Ruin. And I'm not sure what's going on with the band right now. I really hope that they're working on new material at some point, because I really don't want this to be the penultimate album. I need more CAULDRON. This is the best CAULDRON album to date. It has that great occult rock feel behind it. It's great revival metal. It's got that heavy metal, speed metal sound that you're also looking for. All the songs are super catchy. Like if you like something like Striker or Skullfist, CAULDRON is a band that you need to check out. They just have this great unique sound that is clearly their own, even if it is inspired by other bands. Every band's inspired by someone else, believe it or not. But they just do things absolutely right. And again, I hope they are working on a new album at some point because I need more CAULDRON. I don't want this to be the second to last album that they make. Coming in at number 4 is Astronoid with might be my favorite Astronoid album. There's something about the latest album as well, but this very well could be it. The debut album, Air. And I categorize this as dreamgaze and progressive metal. Dreamgaze, if you're not familiar, it's a term that I just made up, although someone else could have easily made that one up as well. It's a combination of dream pop, like if you hear of a band like Mew, M-E-W, Mew, and combine it with black gaze, with like Vatnat Viskar or Death Heaven, or any of those bands that were really getting popular in the mid-2010s. Then you add on some progressive metal tendencies, and you have Astronoid. And wouldn't you know it, a couple members of Vatnat Viskar, later Vatnat, went on to form Astronoid. And I really do feel that even Astronoid is better than Vatnat Viskar in a lot of different ways. It's much catchier. There's no black metal vocals going on at all, even if there's some black metal tremolo picking and blast beats that goes on occasionally, it's all clean vocals. Whether those clean vocals are for you is a matter of taste. That's why I bring up a band like Mew, who is really known for those kind of high-pitch, almost kind of falsetto, but not really falsetto, but just really high-register vocals that is for some people and not for some people. So, listener, be aware. But I feel like the music makes up for anything that you might feel about the vocals. I love the music so much. It is so catchy. It can be so heavy, so beautiful at the same time. It's one of those experiences that I haven't seen any band try to match what Astronoid is capable of. And maybe that'll happen in the future. Someone will start a band that is influenced by Astronoid. I haven't heard it yet, but time will tell. Until then, check out Astronoid, and you might as well start from the beginning. Although there are EPs and singles before this, check out their first LP, Air. Coming in at number 3 is my favorite Fates Warning album. Some may agree, some may disagree, but hey, that's what life is for, the disagreements. It is Theories of Flight. This 2016 album put a fire underneath the asses of Fates Warning that I don't even think Fates Warning knew that they needed. It's the penultimate album from the band, sadly. As just a few weeks ago, it was more or less announced that Fates Warning is no longer going to be doing any new material. They're not breaking up, they're not going to stop doing shows, they're just not going to do music. And that really makes me sad. Ray Alder wanted there to be more new Fates Warning, but that's why he's doing solo material now, but that's just the world we live in 2023. But back here in 2016, they put out their finest album. It's got some of the heaviest moments of the band, some of the proggiest moments of the band. Ray Alder took his voice, which he was kind of having some vocal problems more or less throughout the band and through Redemption and other means, but he somehow just got his voice back on this album, and everything that he's done since then has just been pristine. While he's not hitting those huge falsetto vocals that he used to be able to, he doesn't need to. He's got that power and veracity in his vocals now that he didn't even have before. And it just matches up so perfectly with the music that it's just so hard-hitting, so catchy, and so Fate's Warning. While they are one of the lesser progressive metal bands when you think of things, I mean, Symphony X, Dream Theater, all those bands usually get higher regard than Fate's Warning. It's only when you dig below the surface that you check out bands like Fate's Warning. But if you've never checked them out for whatever reason and you're a prog fan, you should start with an album like Theories of Flight and see if it's for you. Obviously going backwards from here to see what you like, and maybe you'll even like the John Arch era of Fate's Warning. But this is definitely an album that you need to check out if you're a prog metal fan. Coming in at number 2 is AVANTASIA with Ghostlights, one of my favorite power metal albums of all time, arguably my favorite power metal album, but, I should go back after this whole series and do things by genre. But no, really, going into this, Tobias Sammet put out the darkest, heaviest power metal album in the AVANTASIA catalog, with amazing guest stars like Dee Snider, Jeff Tate, and of course you got great standouts who have been in the band for so long in various ways like Michael Kiske, Jorn Londe. So many great vocalists are on this album in so many different ways. Every song is so dark in a different way on this album, going through love, loss, the devil, and so much more. This is what I look for in power metal. Is it cheesy? Oh, yeah, it's cheesy. But it's my kind of cheese, and I could eat it up all day. Toby and company just knocked it out of the park with this album. Not to say that they haven't done great things before or since, but to me, and my personal taste, especially when I look back on everything, this is my favorite Ghostlights album. And hey, I just came up with the idea of picking up my favorite albums by genre. Maybe that'll be in the next series. And finally at number 1, my favorite album of 2016 is of course Witherscape with The Northern Sanctuary. This album just rules. It's everything that I love about Dan Swano into one tight package, and that's not a knock at anything against The Inheritance, okay? In fact, look at where The Inheritance was when that came out in 2013 and where that landed. Wouldn't you know it? That was at number 1 as well. So you can make the argument by proxy, Witherscape is my favorite band of all time, as both albums made number 1. Yes, this is the second album, and by all means, this probably is the last Witherscape album, despite it me not wanting to be at all. Because I need more Dan Swano doing progressive death metal. I think we all do. Who doesn't love Edge of Sanity? Well, at least those who have checked it out. And you should go check it out. But again, seriously, the sophomore album from Witherscape, not really a concept album, but a great collection of songs all together that do kind of fit things together, at least thematically. Everything does fit together so very well. And it's the last full album, at least up to now, where Dan Swano does growls, and he has one of the greatest growls in all of music. Of course, there's the argument from Michael Akerfeld, but have you heard Dan Swano? That's all I'm saying. And of course, to match that up, he has one of the greatest soothing, rugged voices in all of clean vocals when it comes to metal. In fact, I might be one of the only people to say this, especially off of this album, but the song The Examiner is my favorite Dan Swano song. I love the chorus of this, I love his vocals, I love the ballads so very, very much. There's some great proggy, heavy moments going on throughout this entire thing that are absolutely worth your attention. And especially the title track, a 13-minute progressive death metal epic with a very long outro that fits together and just builds and builds and builds. Where have you heard that before? Opeth's Deliverance is where you heard that before, but I think that was an intentional nod. With lyrics by Paul Kerr of November's Doom, Dan Swano just knocks it out of the park once again on this album, and as of right now, this is the last full studio album that Dan Swano has made. I really hope that changes. It's been too damn long, and if I can talk him into it, I really hope that he can do something, because I don't care if it's Witherscape, I don't care if it's Nightingale, I don't care if it's a reunited Edge of Sanity, I don't care if it's a brand new project. I need more Dan Swano in my life, and so do you. And there you go, folks, my top 10 albums of 2016. What do you think? Do you just want to give me crap for my own personal opinion? Do you like what you heard? Did you not like what you heard? Did I leave out some albums? Let me know down below. And of course, like, comment, share, subscribe, all of that stuff. I want to be able to keep continuing to build this channel. I can only do that with help. You can't do it alone. I'm just not that good. I need you guys to be able to enjoy it. I want you to be able to show your appreciation and let that damn Facebook algorithm know that you like what I do. So please do so, and I thank you. And until the top 10 albums of 2017 or another top 10 list that I come up with, my next band interview, review, or any other type of video that I put up here on the Heavy Debriefings YouTube channel, for Heavy Debriefings, as Josh Runk was saying, see ya.